Hey everyone, here is our 3D printer. There's a few things I want you to notice. Right now it is printing a scan of our Bobcat skull. It doesn't quite look like a Bobcat skull yet, does it? Now, these little things right here, those are called supports. Those are not a part of the design. Those just help to build the design. Because it gets built in layers, sometimes it needs the support in order to build correctly. Okay? Now another thing that it has is right down here is something called a raft. The raft is also something that gets added later that will help the design to print right. Okay? And you can see that the 3D printer is printing in layers. This print has been going for probably about 4 hours. Yeah. So big 3D prints can take a lot of time. They're not a 10-minute and done sort of deal. They can take a while. Now, up here, this shows how hot the nozzle or this little part is, which is why we don't stick our hand in to the 3D printer. It shows what the scan looks like. Now this is a Bobcat skull that's kind of standing up. So you'll see the teeth at the very top right there. So if I come over here, you can see the start of the Bobcat skull. Again, those little supports are there to help it build. Okay? So keep this in mind when you're designing, because sometimes there are really cool designs that we just can't print because the supports won't work well, or it's floating above where the raft would be. Okay, so just think about that while you're making your designs. Okay. It's getting closer. You can see some of the teeth on there now. It only has about 10 minutes left. Okay. This one's taken about 5.5 hours. I'm excited to take it off. It's gonna look really cool. It's done. It took 6 hours, 6.5 hours. Okay. Now I am gonna try and get it off. Alright, so you can take this base off. You can see it's pretty stuck on. Okay, so I am going to try to break off this little raft right here, and then I can start to break off some of the supports. Okay, so I'm going to set up my camera so you guys can see me do that. Okay, so I use an X-Acto knife to get this off, and just do that by going right under here, trying really carefully to pop it off. Now, it can be a little harder. Oh, there we go. So if you see, you want your print to stick to here, because if it doesn't, when it's building it, sometimes it can be pulled off. Okay, so now I have the raft, like I said before, and these supports. So I am going just break off some of the supports. Actually gonna do that with some pliers. This part's kind of fun. Just break it off. Honestly, these are probably not the best pliers to break it off with, but they work. Ooh, and you can see, okay, this is really interesting. So sometimes these can break really easy. Do you see right there? Okay, so I just tried to pull that one off, and part of that print decided it wanted to break. So that means I need to be really careful when taking that one off. Okay, so I'm gonna go really close to these to break them off. Okay. Now sometimes the hardest part can be taking the raft off, but I'm gonna take all these supports off first. Maybe. Again, this is a bit of a slower process because you don't want your print to get broken in the process. So I'm gonna try that same one right here. Okay. So I didn't break that over here. That one I just might need to heat up like my little soldering thing and fix that. Okay. I think in the video I'm going to speed this part up so it's not as boring. But just know they have to do this with every print. Right, so I can fix that later. Okay. So, getting this raft part off. Sometimes you can just pull it. But I don't know if that's gonna work well with this one. Ooh, hit the camera with that. You can see that some of it is like bending. Okay, was able to get that support off, nice. All right, there's my Bobcat skull. 6.5 hours later. Now, something that you could do, and a lot of people do, is they will sand it. So they'll get some sandpaper and kind of clean up these edges. I will probably do that. But for now, there we go.